So, funny story. So I was at the library tonight, which is not unusual, but I'm at the library and I'm checking out 3 books. And so I bring my 3 books up to the front desk. And as the librarian is checking out my 3 books, she says, "Oh, we have 4 holds ready for you." And I said, "Oh." So yeah, I came home with 7 books. And I was like, well, it's time for another reading vlog, I guess. So here we are. They gave me this lovely bag to carry them all. That was very nice of them. So we're just gonna this is fine. This is fine. I read 7 books in a month. This is fine. This is fine. So I'm gonna go over what I have here, and then we're gonna get started. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the 3 books I was originally checking out. So first is actually, this is gonna be a reread. Now, I've got 7 books. Do I have to include this one? Well, I'm gonna, because, so this is the biggest book, but it's also middle grade, so not bad. I read this between a few and several years ago. I gave it 3 stars, which means I liked it. But I have thought about this book several times since reading it. So I want to reread it. And I was, at just the library today, and I was like, it would be really nice. It's good. It's set at Christmas time. So I was like, let's get Green Glass House by Kate Milford. Again, I've been wanting to reread it. Why not now? So this Green Glass House. This is about a boy and his parents. They own this inn, and it's around Christmas time, and we have 7 books, so I'm just gonna, that's the basic for that one. We then have my only nonfiction of the pile. This is Living Resistance, an Indigenous Vision of Seeking Wholeness Every Day by Caitlin Curtis. So this one is, my impression of what this is about is that it's kind of using, tips is not the right word, but like indigenous wisdom or practices to kind of sustain you through the times, So it says, Curtis explores 4, quote, realms of resistance: the personal, the communal, the ancestral, and the integral, and shows how these realms overlap and why all are needed for our liberation. It sounds like a good book to read now. I mean, anytime, obviously, but this would be good. This would be good. Okay, Living Resistance. I'm excited for that one. Then we have this very interesting cover of Persuasion by Jane Austen. I've not seen this cover before, but this is the one that they had. So I have read 2 Jane Austen books before. I loved Pride and Prejudice. Did not at all like Northanger Abbey. But to be fair to Northanger Abbey, I thought it was going to be something different. I was expecting it to be a certain way, and that wasn't the case. And so it's not really the book's fault that I thought that. But there we are. So I do not really know what Persuasion is about, but it's my understanding, like, I've looked it up before. I think I'll like this one. I read the first chapter at the library, and it's just, sometimes with older books, you just have to read them a little more slowly. I'm just going to read this one a little more slowly. Normally, I do read multiple books at one time. Normally, I don't do that for vlogs, but I think I'm going to be reading this one throughout, and then maybe one at a time for the others. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So now we're into our 4 holds. These are all November new releases. So I'm going to go through these. We've got 2 Christmas romances and 2 mysteries. Possibly a thriller? We'll find out. Okay, so starting off, we have Faking Christmas by Carrie Winfrey. This one I got because it's basically a modern retelling of Christmas in Connecticut, which is one of my favorite Christmas movies. If you haven't seen it, you absolutely do need to see it. So this one, she's in the basic setup of both of those stories is that there's this woman who is pretending to have a life that she doesn't really have. Like in the movie, it's she owns a farm in Connecticut. In this one, she supposedly, not supposedly, her boss thinks that she owns a farm in Ohio when really it's her sister who owns the farm in Ohio, but she does the social media for the farm in Ohio. So I don't know how he thinks he can get away with this, but he invites himself to like a family dinner. I don't know why, but we'll find out. And so, thinking though that she is the one, like he's inviting himself to her home. And so she, not owning a farm in Ohio, kind of, her sister agrees to to pretend, basically. And what is a family dinner without the husband and kids? So there's a guy that I'm not sure how they know each other, but he is described on the back as annoyingly attractive. Obviously. It also says, the annoyingly attractive man she hates will be posing as that's her name, as Laurel's husband just for the evening, but when a snowstorm traps them all for the entire weekend, oh my goodness. Laurel is going to have to figure out how to survive with her job and dignity intact. Yeah, so it says here that her job in this is social media manager. If it doesn't go too hard with the cheesiness of like that job, I love Christmas in Connecticut, so I'm hoping I like this too. I'm hoping it's not cringe. I'm hoping it's more cute than cringe. We'll see. Okay, next one. I did not read the back for. I mean, I did at one point, but they've been on hold for a while. It's called Snowed In for Christmas by Jacqueline Snow. And this one, let's see, also, the holiday rom-com. But okay. Oh, she's too blonde and too quirky. Oh my. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, she's a tea drinker. This got Hallmark all over it. Okay. Now, with the holidays and a major blizzard on her doorstep, Becca has everything she needs to survive the next 2 weeks on her own. Well, I'm sure that's going to change. Hot chocolate, plenty of books, obviously. And the memory of a steamy kiss with a certain sexy Grumposaurus football coach to keep her warm. We are really, really hoping that Christmas charm outweighs the cringe here. Okay. Okay, what else? So when the power goes out, oh no, and Harrison Cooper, football coach, Master Crank, and the guy who acted mega awkward after said steamy kiss, oh my, offers her shelter, it only makes sense to accept. They'll just be blizzard buddies. Oh, this might be a challenge. Okay. Hang out, stay safe, and maybe indulge in a little already cuddling, ma'am. Contain yourself. Becca knows that Harrison isn't the dating kind. I added the quotes myself. But what happens during the storm lasts only as long as the storm. But are they keeping warm or playing with fire? No, we'll see. We'll see. Oh, she's knitting a scarf. I should make a list of all of the tropes. Oh, what? Excuse me. Rude. Hold on. Okay, we're back. Next book. Last Word to the Wise by Anne Claire. This is book 2 in the Christie Bookshop mystery. This one is about 2 sisters who own a mystery bookshop in a ski resort town in Colorado. Their last name is Christie, but of no relation to the famous author. They just happen to own a mystery bookstore, which is just fun for everybody. So I read book 1 earlier this year, really enjoyed it. I actually included it in a vlog from June? August? I don't know. Anyway, so let's look at what this one is about. Okay, I think, so it's the 2 sisters, and I want to say their mother, and then one of the sisters has a daughter. I think that's the setup. Okay, so Sisters Ellie and Meg Christie share a love of books, reading, and their new roles as co-caretakers of the Book Chalet, their family's historic bookshop, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Ellie and Meg joke that they're in sisterly competition for worst relationships. So fun. Okay, so when their cousin signs them up for her newest business endeavor, matchmaking based on bookish taste. Okay, you've got this person is their cousin. This cousin has an idea here. Okay. Matchmaking based on bookish tastes. The sisters approach their blind double dates with foot-dragging dread. I mean, ladies, you own a bookstore. You know this is a good idea. Okay, what else happens? While Ellie's date meets her low expectations, Meg's match, a book-loving romantic straight out of classic literature. Is this great, or is there something wrong with him? Charms her over a lovely dinner. Okay, the next morning, oh my goodness, where is the turn coming? The next morning, Meg is giddy with anticipation of a second date until she stood up without a word. She fumes that she should have known better. However, her date had a good reason for ghosting her. He's dead. Murdered, the police later confirm. Okay, well, that took a turn, to be fair. Okay. As the less known person to have seen the victim alive, Meg becomes the prime suspect. I mean, really though? Come on. She grimly quips that at least her dating record can't get any worse, but it does. How? A thorn from Meg's romantic past returns, oh my gosh, to their little town of LiQWYD. The town is called LiQWYD? I didn't remember that. Okay. Espousing motives too sweet to believe. Why is the X in town? Let's find out. To sleuth out the truth, the sisters must sift through secrets deeper than the February snowfalls. So we're not quite in Christmas, but February. It's still going to be snowy wonderfulness. Okay. Clues accumulate, but so do suspects, crimes, and betrayals. Ellie and Meg can't afford to leave any page unturned. Romance may not be their forte, but hearts and lives are on the line, and the Christies know how to solve a mystery, especially when murder is involved. See, like this, I know I'm gonna like this. I'm excited. It's such a cute cover too. Look at all of that. I love it. Okay, and then finally, we have Murder in the Family by Kara Hunter. I am excited to read this one. Let's remind ourselves what it's about. It says, one body, 6 experts. Can you solve the case before they do? I mean, for as much mystery as I read, probably not. Actually, this is going to be the biggest book. Ooh, multimedia. We love that. Actually, don't read it much, but I'm sure I will enjoy it. So, okay. Wholly immersive thriller that puts the reader squarely in the center of the action. So, like, I'm supposed to solve this? I mean, good luck to me, but no one saw the killer, but they all saw the body. I mean, isn't that pretty typical? Okay. In December 2003, is it set in 2003? Luke Ryder, the stepfather of acclaimed filmmaker Guy Howard, this might be confusing, okay, was found dead. Okay, Luke, the stepfather of the guy. So a filmmaker's stepfather. This is gonna go well for me. Was found dead in the garden of their suburban family home. Well, that is unfortunate. Okay. Guy was an only child. So when he was a kid, his stepfather was murdered. Guy was only a child, asleep upstairs at the time of the murder. Terrible. His mother and 2 half-sisters were also in the house that night. Are they supposed to be suspects? But all swear they saw nothing. They swear they saw nothing. Despite a high-profile police investigation and endless media attention, no suspect was ever charged, and Guy's family has been haunted ever since. So is he making a film about this? 20 years later, here we go, the successful new streaming series, Infamous, is dedicated to investigating and perhaps cracking this famous cold case. The production team will re-examine testimony. Oh, so that's what all the multimedia is. Re-examine testimony, re-interview witnesses, and once again scour the evidence. The family will speak. The key players will be reunited on camera. The truth will come out. Are you ready to see it? Interesting question. So, very interesting take on true crime, which is obviously a huge thing. I'm wondering how it's handled. I'm intrigued. I think it might be fun. With all like it looks like there's lots of interviews, there's documents you can look at, it looks like newspaper headlines. Oh, So I mean, no, I don't think I can solve it before everyone else, but I'm sure they're going to tell me what happened. All right, I'm looking forward to these. Where to start though? That's always the tough question, isn't it? I don't know. I'll figure it out. Okay.
One, two, three.
Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome to Pod Meets Worldwide. I'm Danielle Fisher.
I'm Ryder Strong, and I'm Will Friedle.
As I'm sure you could guess, I had an excellent time at the Pod Meets World live show. I went with my brother. It was really nice to go with him because we watched the show back in the 90s and loved it, still love it. I'm really enjoying the podcast. We had a really fun time. It is now December 2nd, and I am about halfway through Faking Christmas by Carrie Winfrey, and it's okay. There are two things that I like more than I thought I would, but two things that are bothering me that I don't know how, I'm just not sure how satisfying the ending is going to be. So the two things that I had worried about earlier were, one, I thought that like her job in social media would be pretty cheesy, but that's been fine. That hasn't bothered me. The second thing I was kind of put off by was like the boss just invites himself over like for Christmas Eve. Yes, but it makes a little bit more sense than that. But there are two things that I do still have gripes about. And the first one is that, so these two are sort of being set up as like enemies to lovers, which is fine in and of itself, but it seems almost entirely based on something that she overheard him say at her sister's wedding. And her sister is married to his best friend. So they're both at the wedding. But he apparently said something at the wedding that was negative toward her sister. And so I'm not sure if she heard it wrong or she didn't have context. It just seems so clearly that like a big part of why she doesn't like him is because she heard him say this thing. And it seems like because he's still very close with the family, like he spends time with the family. He clearly doesn't have a problem with her sister or their relationship. So it just seems obvious. It seems like, oh, well, I'm sure we could take care of this with a 2-minute conversation type thing. So it just seems a little thin for me. And the second thing is that, and I'm not sure, maybe this is very common with like Christmas romances, which I don't read many or watch many of those, so maybe this is just a common thing, but it's just irking me as someone who's just not used to it, is that, most of this book has taken place, so the first night, the night that like the boss is coming over to dinner, that's December 23rd. It's Christmas Eve. But there's a big snowstorm and like they're all stuck there for, I'm going to guess like at least through Christmas. So we have probably 2 more days. So I'm guessing that the bulk of this book takes place in 3 days. And are you telling me that like they're going to fall in love in 3 days? I'm just not sure I'm not sure what note this ends on. Because like it seems clear that like they both find each other attractive, but there are like, other than this presumed like misunderstanding or whatever it was that happened at the wedding, like they don't seem well matched. Like, and that, you're not always going to be just like your partner, but is 3 days enough to turn that around? Even at Christmas? I don't know. And if it doesn't work out, like, he's still your sister's husband's best friend. I don't know. So yeah, I'm halfway through. It's okay. I don't dislike it. I'm just not sure how satisfying it's going to be. All right, so it's still Saturday night. It's nearly 11 o'clock, so I'm almost done reading for the night. But I'm now about 70% into Faking Christmas. And so we're up to the afternoon of Christmas Eve. And the issue of like what was said at the wedding seems to have been like mostly taken care of. So I'm like, so do they fall in love in the next day and a half? Like, again, I'm still liking it enough to keep reading it. I want to see where it goes. But it seems not, I mean, I don't want to expect it to be something that it's not. That wouldn't be fair. But I guess it's just there's not a lot there. It's just kind of thin, a little, like there's not too much depth to it. What I'm really interested in now is, like, now that they're probably going to get into like the romance part of the romance novel, I'm interested to see how I feel about that, because so far it's just been okay. It is Sunday, December 3rd. I was just over at my parents' house for some reading time with my mom, where I finished Faking Christmas by Carrie Winfrey. And yeah, it's like a Hallmark movie. So if you love Hallmark movie Christmas romances, this is the book for you. It's just not like my preferred romance subgenre. So like I had said before, it was okay. I'm giving it 2 stars. It was okay. It is what it is, and it was good at what it was, but yeah. So 2 stars for me for this one. But if you are a Hallmark Christmas girly, Baking Christmas by Carrie Winfrey is for you. So next, I am going to start Murder in the Family by Kara Hunter. I am a little nervous that it's like the biggest book, but like I said before, there is some multimedia, so I'm hoping that, makes it go faster. But I'm expecting to enjoy it, so let's start. Let's find out. All right, it is pretty late Monday night, December 4th. I am now 30% into Murder in the Family by Kara Hunter. And here's what you need to know about this book. This book is literally like reading a documentary. It's literally like you're reading the transcript of a true crime documentary, where it's literally person's name, what they say, person's name, what they say. And then intermixed, it's got short like descriptions of what they're doing, what they look like, what the room they're in looks like. It's got like montage of photos of such and such person, recreation clip of this scene, and it's like reading a documentary. And then in between each episode, and so far I've gotten through the first 2 episodes, it also includes like text messages and emails like among the participants, and like media reactions. So it's got like newspaper articles, it's got like what's essentially like a Reddit thread, comments on like discussing the show. And so it's like, if I was watching the documentary of this, I would think it was an interesting show. But reading it, I am interested. I do want to know who done it, but I'm like, and I can picture all of it, but it's kind of like, well, why am I not just actually watching it? So and like, to be fair, we are still in the beginning. Like, the first two episodes mainly include like summarizing what the initial investigation went over. And there are like hints at where they might be able to find more information and, some, let's just say, interesting conversation happening like behind the scenes, sort of. But yeah, so I'm kind of expecting like a 2 or a 3-star rating from me. Either I liked it or it was okay. So, I mean, yeah, it's I definitely still want to read it. I'm making good progress on it. I want to know, and there is definitely potential for it to just get more and more interesting. But it is like reading a documentary. So, but I can also see people absolutely loving that format. So, again, if you're the right reader, it would be wonderful. But well, it is still early and we'll see. It is Wednesday, December 6th, and I'm now about 2/3 into Murder in the Family, and it is definitely getting much more interesting. They've sort of gotten past like rehashing all the initial evidence in the case, and they're getting to quite a few bombshell revelations. The other thing I want to mention is that I really like and appreciate the way that they are including the ways that true crime media can and often is exploitative for victims, survivors, and their families. That is definitely incorporated into this book, and I appreciate that because I think that is an important part of the conversation around true crime media. I was just out shopping at Michael's and I got a bunch of new yarn for a new project, so I will show you that when I get back home. But yeah, it's going pretty well. I did a little bit, so I have been reading Persuasion by Jane Austen. That one I've sort of just been like picking up here and there. I'm only 40 something pages into it, so still really at the beginning, but I'm hoping to kind of space it out pretty evenly, unless I get really into it, just spacing it out pretty evenly between the other 6 books so that I finish that like around when I'm done with the others. But yeah, I will continue to check in. This is all the yarn I got at Michael's, and all of this $32. They had a sale on yarn, buy one get one 50% off, and then they also had a 25% off all items including sale items. So $32 for all of it. I'm so excited. Okay, so it's Thursday night, December 7th. I've just finished Murder in the Family, and I am still processing. I don't know. Like, it's gonna be a 2 or a 3. I don't know. Okay. So a few things I can say. So first of all, there's a lot. There's a lot in the last like third of this book. It reminded me of the experience reading The Only One Left by Riley Sager earlier this year, where it's just the end of that book is just a lot. There's just a lot happening, and it's arguably too much. I don't know. It took me a while to figure out how I felt about that one. It may take me a little bit to figure out this one, but wow, I'm gonna have to come back to it. It is the next day. I've had some time to think about it, and I am gonna go with 2 stars for Murder in the Family. Ultimately, it just wasn't super satisfying for me. It was not bad, and I can see how other people could love it. But for me, it was okay. I was between a 2 or a 3, but I feel good about the 3. So tonight I'm going to start Last Word to the Wise by Anne Claire. But before we do that, so it is December 8th, and I have not put up any Christmas decorations yet. I have not done that yet, but I'm going to start tonight, okay? Now, one of the reasons I haven't done any of that yet is that, so I usually put up lights in my kitchen, but right now what is up in my kitchen is the herbs from my garden that are hanging to dry, but they're dried. They can come down. I love how they look though. I'll show you what they look like. But yeah, we're going to take those down, you know, put them in their jars, and then we're going to put up the kitchen lights. So that's what we're going to do first. So this is what the herbs look like in the kitchen. Who would not want their kitchen to look like this all the time? Well, it's time to take them down now. So, okay, that's up next. Okay, so I wasn't planning on filming tonight because it's pretty late, and I was just gonna like read another chapter before bed. But so okay, I'm now halfway into Last Word to the Wise by Anne Claire, and I do like it. It's probably gonna be a 3-star, but there's something there's something that's bugging me. Okay, and it's so. The main character, okay, I'm so tired. Okay, what do I want to say? Okay, so it's a mystery, and the main character, she is like, you know, is having these interactions with not the chief of police, but like the detective who's working on the case. Like there's a detective character and a chief of police character. The detective character is the male character, and so she's having interactions with him, and he's kind of being flirty with her. And what's really, so I'm like, at first I was like, is he purposefully flirting with her so that she will talk more openly with him, or is he just that unprofessional? And so they've had like a few scenes together now. We're halfway through the book. And I'm like, I'm starting to think he's just that bad at his job. And I mean, I don't know what I expect, but don't do that. That's so like, yeah, okay. So I'm going to read a little bit and then go to bed, and we'll have another check-in later. But other than that, I do like it, so. All right, it is Saturday morning, December 16th, and last night I finished Last Word to the Wise by Anne Claire. I liked this one. I'm giving it 3 stars, as I suspected I would. So this is the second book in the Last Word series, and as a reminder of what this one is about, So there are these two sisters who own a bookshop in this Colorado ski resort town. Ellie lives in an apartment above the bookshop, and then Meg and her teenage daughter live with their grandmother. And my favorite thing about the second one was also my favorite thing about the first one, and that is the main cast of characters. And even like the secondary characters, just, I mean, there was one character in this I didn't like, but generally, I think that's the strongest thing about this one. It does have a very good atmospheric setting. The bookshop is great. The town they live in is fun, you know, especially if you're a skier. If you like a ride on a gondola, I would check this out. Anyway, the main setup for this one is that Meg and Ellie's cousin has started and she's the character I don't love, but she has started a new like matchmaking dating business where the idea at least, is that she matches people based on their bookish interests. So as their like first like launch of the company, she sets up her two cousins with these two guys. It's a blind date, but they're supposedly matched based on these bookish interests. And Ellie's date is very boring, but Meg's date goes really well. She thinks he's this great guy, very fascinating. They get along really well. They have great conversation. But, you know, the only problem being, of course, is that the next day he is found murdered. He is dead. And so then Meg becomes like the first suspect because it appears that she's the last person to have seen him alive. And I can't say too much more, but I'll add that like the story unfolds as that like each new thing they learn about this guy, they basically find someone else with a motive who could have wanted to kill him. So that's how the story plays out. What I didn't like about the cousin character is that like as this investigation is going on, she is just always 100% focused on like, when can we match you again with someone? Like, let's continue this dating service, positive press. You know, we don't need any more about this, you know, murder. No one wants to talk about that. Let's talk about dating. And I'm like, girl, just please read the room, okay? She's very excited about her business, but there are other things going on. So the two things I was concerned about, so the one thing I mentioned when I was looking at the summary was that I was afraid that they'd like, because Meg is going to be the obvious first suspect, I was like, oh, are they just going to latch onto this and then like just take it too far based on not a ton of evidence? Like, I understand you obviously have to look into her, but it actually wasn't that bad. Like they didn't do anything that was not reasonable to do or assume. So that was fine. And then the other thing I'd commented on before was on how the detective was sort of flirting with Ellie during this. That did not get better, but I realize that in this kind of book where you have like, it's like between a mystery and a cozy mystery, it is incredibly common to have the main character have a romance with a member of law enforcement. Like I don't like it, but I understand that is like probably the most common trope in these kind of mysteries. And I mean, it didn't bother me more than the general, like, I mean, the bar was low, but yeah, overall. And I guessed who the killer was. I did guess. It was like just a couple of pages before it was revealed who it was. And I just kind of randomly guessed, but I was right. So, Last Word to the Wise, book 2 in the Christie Bookshop mystery series. I do recommend it. I'm hoping there's a third book because I would like to read more. But so after I finished that last night, I read the first chapter of Snowed In for Christmas by Jacqueline Snow. I decided to just finish off, because I have 4 new releases and then 3 other ones. I decided to finish off the new releases. So I wasn't super impressed with the first chapter, but it was only, a few pages, so I'm going to give it some more. This one is so the second Christmas romance I'll be reading. This one is a spicy Christmas romance. maybe that will help, but so far we'll just have to see. It's like 5 minutes later, like 5 minutes. I'm on to chapter 2 of Snowed In for Christmas. And so the first chapter was the main female character's perspective. Now we're on the guy. And I just, my hopes that were not very high are dipping. So here's, okay. So in general, you don't want to judge someone based on like one instance or one thing that is like said about them. But in books, go right ahead. Go right ahead. Everything was chosen to be in there. It's all there on purpose. So the guy, this guy, here's a little bit about him, okay? Downtime for me consisted of napping, watching football, drinking beer, or heading to the gym. I had already completed an aggressive workout that morning, so I could do whatever the hell I wanted for the rest of the day. And what I wanted? Napping and beer. Jacqueline Snow, you are painting a picture. You are painting a picture. I'm not sure who that's supposed to entice. Also, a little bit of information. This man is 34. He's 34. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, it's not looking good. It's just not looking good. Okay, I'm literally like 2 paragraphs down on the same page. I can't do this. I can't do this. Let me tell you why. Okay, let me tell you why. So all you need to know is like these 2 main characters, like they've known each other. They apparently had kissed like 2 years ago or something, and then now it's just, I have no idea. But I can't do this. Okay. I knew how those lips felt against mine, and if I thought about it too long, I'd forget why it would be a terrible idea to kiss her again, even though her face and body were gorgeous. Sir, no. Whatever reason you had, you probably, I'm disappointed. It just, I can't do it. I'm not gonna try. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do now? I'm gonna read some more Persuasion. I need a palate cleanser. Let's go for Persuasion. I can't do it. Can't do it. Not me. It's about 2 weeks later. My hair is a little shorter, a little darker, and we're gonna wrap up the vlog. I did not finish any of the other books, but that's just how it is. I could have like tried to go for a strong finish, spend the last, few days of the year really like finishing these books. I didn't want to. I do still want to read them. I started reading Living Resistance. This is really good. I'm really liking it. Do I want to force myself to read it to finish it by the end of the year? I don't need to do that. And then Persuasion, I'm still only just a little bit into. This one, I'm still at the beginning of it, but I still want to read it. Green Glass House, again, this is the reread. And this is going to be a nice, cozy, wintry start to the new year. That's what this is going to be. So, yeah, I just decided, let's just do the thing that's kind for me. And it's fine if I don't read all the books in a certain reading vlog that I said I wanted to try to read at the beginning of the reading vlog. There's no reason to do that. No real reason anyway. So yeah, I decided not to. I'm just gonna call it here. I could like just extend the vlog and just like it's over like whenever I finish these books. I don't want to do that either. I don't want to, so I'm not gonna. So to review or to recap the other ones. So we started with Faking Christmas. This one has already been returned to the library. This one I gave 2 stars. Very much a Hallmark Christmas. And like if you like that, like you will like this book. It's not that I don't like that. It's not my preferred. It was okay. 2 stars means it was okay. Also 2 stars for Murder in the Family. This one, ultimately I decided it just wasn't super satisfying for me. So I went with 2 instead of 3. It's good. It's okay. It's not bad. It's got great, interesting commentary on true crime. It's put together in a very interesting way. I definitely think people would like this. For me, it was okay. And then Last Word to the Wise. This one I liked. This one I gave 3 stars. I really enjoy this series. This is book 2 in the series, and I'm looking forward to book 3. I don't know if book 3 has been announced yet. I don't know if I had mentioned that before. I'm looking forward to it anyway. Hope it exists. So yeah, this is the one. These 2 sisters own a bookshop in a Colorado ski resort town. Their cousin sets up this like blind date business. The guy that one of the sisters goes on a date with ends up dead. That's how it starts. It's good. And then I tried Snowed In for Christmas. This one you've just heard about. Yeah, I DNF'd this pretty early. And like, you know, so all these 4 books actually were ones that I put in like purchase requests for the library. I asked my library to buy these to make them available. And I, you know, even though I ended up not liking this one, and even though the other, I mean, Last Word to the Wise I liked, even though the others were 2 stars, the more books is always a good thing. Like, and the other one had to be returned to the library because someone else wanted it. So you're welcome, fellow library patron. So yeah, that was my reading vlog. Let's think, is there anything else I want to say to wrap it up? Yeah, okay, let's just go over again. Your reading is whatever you want it to be. And even if you make a reading vlog of something, you're like, I'm going to try and do whatever, challenge myself, whatever. You don't have to. It's just fun. Reading should always be fun. Making videos about reading should always be fun. So yeah, do whatever you want to. And I'll see you next time.